Hey guys, Jacob Dupre here. I'm at Sweetwater and I want to talk to you about the Vox Continental keyboard, which is this svelte looking keyboard right in front of you. I had to look that one up, which means slender and elegant, and I think it is very slender and elegant. I mean, it's got the Vox logo lit up over here, so cool. The British Pride logo over here. I mean, this thing's getting all 10 for style points. It's a great keyboard. You probably didn't know that Vox made a keyboard, if you do know about Vox, but Vox and also Korg teamed up to make this keyboard, which is really cool. And you might be thinking, okay, it looks like an organ. Is it really just one of those vintage organs? Is it supposed to, be cool for vintage organ guys that want something that looks like that? Well, yes, but it's got more than organs. It's more than an organ. It's got grand pianos, uprights, even electric grands, electric pianos, brass, strings, synth, lead synth. It's got everything that a modern keyboard player would want. So it makes it pretty versatile, and it's only 15 pounds. That's really cool too. The most unique piece of technology I think that's on here, which is really awesome, is new tube. So new tube is a thing that Korg came up with. It's like the vacuum tubes on the older organs, but reimagined. And it's going to give you the same awesome vintage sound. So I was actually using it on that first sound, which is the Vox, under the Vox sections. This is a Vox organ. And it lights up when you turn it on, which is super hip and super cool. So continuing to go down the line, we got the dynamic knob here. Now dynamics, that's sort of like, I would say it's sort of like velocity curve. So where you have, the maximum volume, say you could play is, it's going to pump out 115. So no matter how loud you play, that's what you're going to get. This sort of does that. I like it for piano. So, if I don't want to have to punch out a solo so loud, I can turn this up. So here's the difference. If I turn it all the way up, so I'm pushing the same hardness, and it's coming out louder. So that's really useful. Of course, you got the octave button. Pretty standard there. And let's go through, so you're like, it's a Vox Continental. It looks like an organ. Again, it's got more sounds than an organ. But let's talk about the organ section, because it is really cool, and I'll tell you why. So just starting out, it's got 3 sections. The CX3, which is like Hammond, right? Your Hammond B3 organs. It's got the Vox, of course. Why wouldn't it have that? And that sounds great. And compact organs. So 3 different sections. So this is the CX3, the Hammond. And then a Vox, this is number 1 also. And then compact organs. Really great. I mean, I was impressed with how close it matches those original classic sounds, those organ sounds. So that's why, if you're interested in this, or you think you might be interested in this, if you've got a band and you like to cover classic songs by The Doors or, the Monkees or whatever band that used those older classic organ sounds, and you want something that looks really cool on stage, this is an option for you. Additional things in the organ section, percussion, which I actually have on right now, so you might know that gives you sort of that, clicky sound, percussive sound. Right? I have the chorus and rotary on, but you can hear the difference. And actually, this is for pitch bend over here, but it also will adjust the speed of the rotary, so. And then back down, so up and down. You can see this start flashing faster and slower. That's the rotary. The vibe chorus, of course. Really great sounding, accurate modeling, sounds wonderful. Now, I'd say the coolest thing about the organ section, which is something I don't think I've seen it on really any keyboard, is the drawbars. So you might notice it doesn't have physical drawbars. So a lot of keyboards, like other bigger brands or like the Nord or Roland or whatever it is, have physical drawbars. Vox and Korg together have come up with this interesting sort of touch screen approach, right? So you can actually draw on the drawbars. Drawbars. You can draw the drawbars. So check this out. And it's all LED, right? So just for a demonstration. So I could be playing, say I want to set up something sort of mellow like this. And then I can go for all stops out. I can put all the drawbars down. I've also set it up, which you might notice there's these scene buttons right here. So right now I have number 1 set up as sort of that mellow sound. So I could be playing, I was playing this little light of mine. And then ready for the second chorus. Right, so these scenes is really useful, especially like I'm thinking of this thing in a gig scenario. I want to call up sounds fast. It's really useful. I like it a lot. There are different banks of sounds. So there's actually A, B, C, and D that each have. You can program 4 scenes for each. So that's 16 different scenes you can create. You do it with the right button here. So say I want to turn down the volume of the organ a little bit, and then I want to write that. I want to save that setting. I can save it to 2, scene 2, get away from it, come back. Now my setting is there that I just set. That's really easy to do. I really like that. Then of course there's different banks. So this will also, now we're going into the different sounds. So it comes with some of the scenes preset. So why don't I just go through a few so you can hear some of the other sounds. So this looks like it's going to be, this is like an organ here, a CX3, so like a Hammond, which we were just going through. So electric piano. Honky-tonk piano. Who knows? You may need that at some point. Pipe organ. So that's what I'm thinking about now, again, as this being applicable for a gigging, person, someone that's on a lot of gigs. There are a lot of heavier keyboards out there. You probably know which ones those are. This thing's only 15 pounds, and it's got all these different sounds. So, I'm thinking, you can look at me. I'm no Hulk Hogan, but the thing is you don't need some big heavy case. You don't need, somebody to help you lift this thing around. It's totally portable, and I think for what it is, it could be useful for a lot of you guys out there. I really do. Just a few more of the sounds. It does have, so we've gone through a lot of key stuff. Of course, you've heard some electric pianos. It's got some sort of your Stevie Wonder stuff. That's not Stevie Wonder, but this is. Too much reverb. And you can bend the claves, which I like because sometimes that's fun. It's got brass, actually with a few different articulations, which is pretty cool. I like to if I can put enough weight on that top note, I can just get that top note to do that squeal. Yeah, like that. And then it's got a few other variations on articulations for brass. Right? And it's even got synth leads. So again, you could be playing a horn band or a wedding band and you're going from Tower of Power to Stevie Wonder and back through everything. And you've got all that stuff. So, the synth section. If you need to go to outer space during one of your sets. That one's intense. And then there's other stuff. Oh, actually in the brass, there's also not just brass. There's flute, so there's 2 flutes actually. It's cool, it has different attacks too. When you give it more velocity, that's pretty neat. A different style of flute. So that's pretty good. I mean, going over just exploring some of the sounds that are in there, but there's even more than that, and there's variations. You can also layer them together. I don't think that's something I've done, but you can layer, so piano, I think this should be, so piano and strings. This would probably be a good time too. In addition, you see that it's got the key layer, right? So it's got organ here, and that was for the drawbars. But under control, you can go to key layer. And this is to do parameters like your envelope, so like attack, decay, release. So let's see, just with that string sound. So that's the attack. The attack's all the way down. Or all the way up. And there's decay, release, cutoff, which of course is good for synths, things like that. Yeah, and this touchscreen really makes it easy to manipulate all this stuff. I really like it. So like I showed you, there's in the different, so for the touchscreen here, there's the organ, then key layer. You can also draw in EQ settings. So here's like an electric piano. So that's with a lot more high end in there. Dip the high end down. Or dip the low end down. So pretty dramatic settings, but you can see, again, this touchscreen makes it really easy to manipulate all of that. A couple things, one more thing, there's the effects over here, okay? So you got sort of typical ones that you might see. So you got chorus, phaser, flanger, compression, drive, and wah. So here's some of how those sound. Then there's flanger also. Little drive. And wah, which is, you know, a lot of times that's really cool, say on like a clav. We've got delay too, so see, maybe that would be good with a synth. Just key under key layer. You get a taste for that. Reverb, you've probably seen that come on and off a couple times. It's programmed into some of those sounds to already come on, but you can probably hear that good with maybe a piano. It's going to be really dramatic. That's another thing. I mean, the piano, just the stock piano sound is actually really cool. It's really good. That's just the grand. So again, you might be getting this if you're an organ fan, you like vintage organs, but to have a really good grand piano is cool too. And that it has uprights and electric grands, which I don't know if you've heard. Here's a little quick run through of the I/O for the Vox Continental. There's a DC 15 volt power button, headphone jack if you want to listen to it, and headphones, the left-right XLR output, and it's got 1/4 inch output. It's cool for such a small keyboard to have both of those. That's really nice, because sometimes you're on a gig and someone's only got one cable. This has got both, so that's awesome. The control input, which is for the pedal, the Vox pedal that comes with the keyboard down here. Rotor speed, if you have a pedal that can adjust that. Damper for sustain pedal, which I also have down here. Also MIDI in and out. And the USB. Now the USB is cool because that also relates to these scenes over here. So it has USB A and B, right? So USB A is going to be like this here. Like you plug in your phone, classic USB. So what you can do is you can put a thumb drive in here or some type of external hard drive, and you can save these scenes, these presets that are over here. So, and what it'll do is create a folder on that flash drive automatically, and you can load. So if you said, I want to do some different presets on here, but I want to lose the ones I've worked on, you can save them on there. Put them on your computer, you can put them back on, take them off. You can make several editions of them. Again, you have A, B, C, D, so that's 4 for each bank, 16 total. Then there's, of course, the USB-B, which is for plugging into your computer. So that's if you want to use it with a DAW. I've had it in my office, which is right next door over there, for several days now. And I've been using it as a MIDI controller with my DAW and really enjoyed it a lot. It's worked great for that. Also, maybe this was something they thought of, maybe not, but it's something I found. When you're working in your office, you're practicing, or you're on a gig, you're probably going to have your phone out, right? I mean, how many of us read chords or, whatever we do with our phones and all of our technology on our gigs? So, you could use that connection to plug in your phone, and then the way that this is designed with it being flat, I could set my phone right there, which I really love. You could even get a little stand for it, and you could kick it up at yourself so you could see if you're reading chords or stuff. So that's something that I think is really neat. If I was using this on gigs, I would like that I have that USB-A connection to do that. The lit up Vox logo over here is really cool, but if you do want to turn it off for some reason, you can do that. So I'll show you. You press exit an organ, and then you use the variation knob to cycle through different organs to turn it on or off, like this. So that's cool. If there's a reason why you'd like to cut it off, you can, and it makes it really easy. This has been a brief look at the Vox Continental keyboard. I hope you've enjoyed watching me explore this thing with you. If you have your own thoughts on this, if you like it, whatever you thought about it, please leave some comments below the video. We like to hear from you. We like to know what you think also. So thank you so much for watching. I'm going to play you out a little bit. Thanks so much.